Hello, Scorpions, and happy Juneteenth. Welcome to the first of two student town hall meetings. I'm Stephanie Coleman, Dean of Students, and I will be moderating today's conversation. The topic today is returning to campus. Yay. We know many of our students have questions and concerns about what NSC will look like with social distancing guidelines in place. We want all of you to have the necessary information so you do feel safe returning to campus to complete your education. Before we move on, I would like to acknowledge two very important events: the Supreme Court decisions for our DACA and LGBTQ communities. We are celebrating your victories with you and your families, and will continue to stand with you moving forward. Congratulations. To my Nubian kings and queens of the Black Lives Matter movement, we continue to mourn with you. We see you, we hear you, and we support you in your efforts to dismantle systemic racism in our country. Victory is on the way. Just a few housekeeping items. We will first focus on questions that were submitted in advance. Then we will move to a Q&A session. You can still submit questions for the live Q&A at the link that you see on your screen. In addition, the YouTube chat feature is enabled, and so please feel free to use that tool to share your thoughts and engage in the conversation. At this time, I would like to ask NSSA President Suman Randhawa to provide us with some opening remarks. Suman?
Apologies, still muted. Thank you, Dr. Coleman. So I thank you for sharing that amazing news. I think a lot of people can rest easy now. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Suman Randhawa. I'm the student body president of NSSA. And first, I hope that you're all safe and healthy. I know that given what the abrupt move to remote platform was a tough transition, and I commend all of you for making it through the spring semester strong. And to any graduate students that are joining us today, first, congratulations. And second, I know wherever you go after graduating, you're going to make an incredible impact. My heart goes out to anyone that's deeply affected by the current state of affairs. And as your student body president, I want you to know that I'm here for you and I'm here to address your concern. So I hope that in today's town hall, you gain clarity as we navigate through this newfound land, and I'll continue to keep my lines of communication open. So please feel free to reach out to myself or any NSSA member. We're here for you. Also, although today's event is addressing the return to campus related questions, I want to share our continued support against racial injustices and continued support for the Black Lives Matter movement. And also in observance of June 19th, for any of our Nevada State College family and members in the community that are celebrating, please stay safe and happy Juneteenth. And I'll pass it back off to Dr. Coleman.
Thank you, Suman. Again, if you are just joining us, I'm Dr. Stephanie Coleman, Dean of Students. And at this time, I would like to thank our panelists for joining us and ask that they introduce themselves. President Patterson, I'm going to start with you.
There we go. Sorry about that. Sometimes it takes a while to unmute. So thank you for inviting me to be part of the panel. You know, we're getting the campus ready to go for the fall. So as much as there's a lot of things we have to worry about, we're excited that we have the opportunity to welcome students back to the campus, including as early as next week when labs start, and we'll start having students come back under safety protocols for the first time in the labs. While you've been gone, there's been a lot of action going on. We have a new parking lot. That's number one, I know. And so there will you won't have to park in that obscure temporary lot anymore. It's a nice paved lot. So we're excited about that. We'll have housing that will be going online. And so any of you that are thinking about, you know, having some housing right on campus, now is your time to jump in on an application. And we've got the School of Education building that's going up. much faster than I thought that it would. So, and it's big. It's a big building. So it's an exciting time. But at the same time, we're in the middle of what I call three crises, if you will. We have a health crisis that started, and we're addressing that, and we'll be addressing that in the questions that you have about health-related issues. That has created a fiscal crisis for the state and for the college. We have significant budget reductions for the system as a whole. It's being estimated about a 25% reduction in state funding. And so that's a huge issue for the college leadership to take on. And then we have the social justice crisis that's been alluded to, where we have the opportunity as a society to really make some changes. So we're going to try to navigate all of that. And we know that you're in the middle of that as well. It's a stressful time. We hope to get the resources that you need to you so that you can navigate this successfully. Thank you.
Thank you, President Patterson, and thank you for your leadership during this interesting time the past 4 months. Suman, let's bounce this to you, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess I'll just add that, as I've mentioned, I'm the student body president. So, feel free to reach out. Any of your questions and concerns are vital, and it will help us moving forward as we, anticipate opening back up and having everybody come back to campus. But yeah, and I'll pass it back to Dr. Coleman.
Thank you, Suman. Dara.
Hi, Scorpions. I hope all of you are doing well. I am Dara Colon, the NSSA Executive Vice President.
Thank you, Dara. Phil?
Hi everyone. My name is Phil Amat. I'm a proud graduate of Nevada State College and currently privileged to serve as the Director of Student Life. Student Life consists of a lot of different things, but the main components are your student government, the Nevada State Student Alliance. Suman and Dara are doing an amazing job leading throughout this time of, we've never transitioned officers in this time of remote working, but they're doing an amazing job leading. Clubs and organizations is another key component, campus recreation, and other leadership and involvement initiatives and activities. Thank you all for having me on the panel today.
Thank you, Phil. Gregory?
Hi there, my name is Dr. Gregory Robinson. I'm the Vice Provost for Student Success here. The Office of the Provost is responsible for all of the academic content on campus. So we are working very hard right now on academic continuity and making sure that everyone can get their classes and that those classes are offered in a mode that is safe but accessible and allows them to continue their path towards graduation. So I do a lot of stuff with the Provost Office, but I work in particular quite a bit with our student programs like Napantla and Trio SSS to help students that are first generation and non-traditional succeed at college. Thank you.
Thank you, Gregory. And Shanice.
Hi, Scorpions. I'm Shanice Noel, the Director of Housing for the Village, Nevada State College Student Housing, and I oversee all business and day-to-day operations for housing.
Thank you all. As we continue, each panelist is prepared and ready to answer questions that were submitted by students in advance, as well as those that come in live. And we will try to answer as many questions as possible. If we can't, we will answer those questions at Town Hall 2. So President Patterson, will you please start?
I will. All right, first question. What cleaning protocols are being put into place to make the campus as safe as possible? So we're following all of the guidance that we receive from health authorities. And there's also a Nevada System of Higher Education task force that is overseeing and responsible for reviewing all of the reopening plans of every institution in the state and making sure those are thorough and consistent. So we have dramatically increased our clean protocols. And so all the common surfaces will be regularly cleaned. We've done deep cleaning when we've had the opportunity to do that without faculty, staff, and students on campus. So everything has been cleaned very thoroughly before the campus is opening back up. But then there'll be a lot more regular cleaning. There are more stations for hand sanitation, and in addition to that, we're also going to have on certain common area surfaces that might be used as study spaces. We'll also have some cleaning so that you can do your own cleaning as well, so that you have that opportunity to make sure that the space that you're occupying is a clean space. So this is going to be a shared responsibility. It's obviously not possible to have somebody specifically cleaning behind every single person. So it's up to all of us to ensure that we're cleaning the surface that we leave. And for those that are coming on to a surface, we're cleaning that surface. So I feel good about the direction and the plans that we have in place. We have a document that we'll be sharing with students that will detail all of the specific cleaning protocols that we have. The next question is, what will be the limit for number of people in a classroom for the fall? I have immunocompromised family members and do not want to be in class with more than 10 people. So our class sizes will be dramatically lower. The primary protocol that we're focusing on is creating 6 feet distance between any individual in a classroom. And so the actual class sizes will be about 50% of what they would typically be. So I don't know if it'll be exactly at 10. I do know the labs will be under 10, at least this summer, but it will be about 50% of capacity of the classroom. And we will only have as many people in there as that can maintain 6 feet distance. The next question is, what will happen if we have a resurgence of COVID-19 once we have started going back to hybrid in person? And this is very anxiety provoking. As much as I want in-person classes to resume, I do not want to relive spring semester nightmare of shifting things back and forth. Great question and great observation. So we did a student poll and got a fair amount of ideas back on what students were really looking for in the fall. So the majority of students wanted online or hybrid classes, but some wanted in-person classes. And I think the provost office has done a great job working with our faculty to have a good mix. It'll be predominantly online classes that are available. The final schedule should be ready in just a few days, so you'll be able to pick exactly the type of class that you want, and you'll be able to know whether that class is a hybrid class or an online class, and you also be able to know whether it's asynchronous or synchronous. And I think that Greg will be able to talk to you more about what that means and as we move into that. So is it possible that we could have a resurgence of the virus in the fall? Yes, that's possible. And so that's one of the risks that we have of not going to fully online. But again, we're trying to accommodate a variety of student interests in what they want to see in the fall. And the transition, if there does need to be a transition back to online classes, will be much easier the way these classes are designed. So in the hybrid classroom setting, the faculty have already been alerted that they need to be prepared to be able to move those classes into an online environment if necessary. So we hope that that won't happen, but we are much better prepared than we were on what we really only had like 1 or 2 week notice. And thank you to all the faculty, staff, and students for being able to make that transition. We're much better prepared to make that shift if we need to, and we hope we don't. Thank you.
Thank you, President Patterson. I believe I am the next set of questions on the list. Okay, so my questions. Will masks be required? And what happens if I forget mine at home? And I'm going to go ahead and answer both questions at the same time. Will Nevada State College enforce social distancing? If so, how? So masks are mandatory in the classroom and they are mandatory in all NSC buildings. We will have disposable masks available because we understand you may forget sometime. We may forget as faculty and staff also. So we will have disposable masks for you. There will be signage throughout the campus. I know me personally right now, I am always looking for a sign to tell me where I should stand, where I shouldn't stand. So we will have visible signage so you can have an idea of what is appropriate social distancing. It is my hope that every student adheres to the social distancing and face covering requirement. I know personally, I don't want to go back 3 months ago. So it's going to be really important that everybody does adhere to what we are requiring to return to campus. But I'm also not naive. So if an incident is reported to my office, and I am also the Chief Conduct Officer on campus, there are behaviors that are stated in the conduct policy regarding safety and health, and refusal to adhere to a directive from a school official. So I hope nothing is escalated at that level because we all want to be healthy. We all want to get back to normal, and adhering to the guidelines is how we're going to do that. Thank you. The next question are actually for Suman.
Thank you, Dr. Coleman. So I'm going to reiterate a lot of what's already been said, but it's important. So the first two questions I'll kind of answer together. The first one is, what do I do if I feel ill? And number two is, what do I do if I test positive? So I definitely recommend to do a self-assessment. So if you have a cough or a fever, trouble breathing, or anything that indicates that you're not doing well, be responsible and stay home. Keep in mind, it's your health information is confidential, so you don't have to disclose anything, but it is your responsibility to make sure you communicate with your professor that you're sick, so that they're aware of that. And then Nevada State College has on their website a ton of information. So if you log on and go to nevadastatecollege.edu/coronavirus, you'll find all the up-to-date information that's related to COVID-19, preventative measures, many different types of resources, which include health, academic, and community resources. And there's also frequently asked questions on there, as well as a self-report form in the case that you feel you've been exposed to the coronavirus. And once again, it's all confidential, and you do want to notify proper administration, and that would be the Division of College and Community Engagement. So that's Dr. Fernandez, and a lot of you might know her as Adit, or Amy Evaluna, and she's the Nevada State College's liaison for emergency management and manager of community engagement. And so there will be an app available starting July 1st. It's called Stay Safe, which will have many questions, a series of questions that's related to COVID-19, and which will kind of prompt you onto what are some of the next steps you can take. And then of course, you always want to talk to a medical professional first. And then if you have tested positive, you want to make sure you stay home and self-quarantine, and again, communicate with your professors. So again, what I'm going to reiterate is that, we're all responsible, so we have to look out for one another, and that's how you do that. We got to take all these steps to ensure that we don't spread it or, get it ourselves. And so for the third question, will the new student lounge remain open in the fall? So as President Patterson mentioned, we're going to continue on with the 50% capacity and practicing social distancing. So as of right now, yes, it will be open, and then it will require face coverings And then again, there will be enhanced safety precautions and extra cleaning and sanitary stations. And yeah, so just use your best judgment. And if you're not sure of what to do or, what's the right protocol, talk to any faculty member, anyone that you see on the panel today. Everybody's super helpful. So yeah, I will pass it back off to Dr. Coleman.
Thank you, Suman. Dara.
Hi, okay, so I will be reading off 2 questions. And the first question is, what supports exist for undocumented and documented students? First, I want to say congratulations to all of those who have DACA. We made it, the Supreme Court voted against Trump's ruling of wanting to end DACA. First of all, for any type of resource or scholarship, I suggest that you go to nsc.edu/financial aid dash, whoa, I just said that completely wrong. I'm so sorry. nsc.edu/financial aid/scholarships, and look for the non-federal aid applications, and also reach out to the Dreamers Club, and you can log on and look for more information for the Dreamers Club by going to beengaged.nsc.edu. We also have more information provided by the UNLV Immigration Clinic, which provides free consultations, applications, renewal applications, and more to all NG students and their families. And if you are in need of more help or more advice, please make sure to reach out to Vincent Nava at vincent.nava@nsc.edu, who is in charge of the CDI. And for question number 2, what actions can we take as students to help prevent the spread of COVID-19 in our campus community? Kind of like linking back to Suman's responses, just making sure that we are observing and taking care of each other, using hand sanitizers, washing your hands, abiding with the social distancing guidelines, encouraging others to also use and wear face coverings. The more we practice them and we model them within each other, the more we will be able to prevent the spread of further COVID cases. And also, as Suman had stated, go to the nsc.edu/coronavirus webpage and click the community resource page, where it is being updated every 2 weeks, and it gives you access to any health and academic and all types of community resources. But that is it for my questions.
Thank you, Dara. Phil.
Thank you, Dr. Coleman. Sorry. So the 3 questions you see there, I will do my best to answer them in full. So number 1, come fall, I will be entering NSC as a freshman. I'm looking forward to clubs and social activities. Will things of that nature be affected? Number 2, will clubs, organizations, and departments to be able to post flyers around campus to advertise events and services? And number 3, will the Scorpion Cafe and bookstore be open? What about the computer labs? So I'm going to start with the hours of operations question and then speak on the student life related questions. As is the case, has been said, and as is the case with everything related to safety at the college, I'm assured that the cafe is taking every precaution to make food service delivery as safe as possible. And as it stands now, beginning July 1st, the cafe will be open Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. For the duration of summer session 2. And then come fall, again, as it stands now, the hours will be Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. The bookstore is scheduled to reopen on July 6th and will operate Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. As we get closer to the fall semester, hours and days of operations for the bookstore will increase. The hours for the library and adjacent computer lab in RSC 236 for the duration of summer 2 will be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's worth noting that computers have been removed to allow for physical distancing, which leaves 13 computer stations between the library and the lab. There's also the 2 fish bowls in the LAS building, LAS 126 and 129, that will be open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. during summer session 2. And with removing computers, that leaves 9 workstations between those 2 rooms. For the fall hours, library hours are to be determined for the previously mentioned computer labs in RSC and LAS, as well as the Dawson computer lab. Those will be open in the fall, and it's anticipated that those labs will be open during the same hours that each building is open. Excuse me, the computer lab in Dawson is room 119, and we'll have 7 workstations available. In relation to the clubs and organizations and student life and activity related questions, I am going to shamelessly plug beengaged.nsc.edu. Thank you, Dara, for sharing it as a resource. It is a great way to connect with the Dreamers Club as well as other clubs and organizations. I'm going to try to plug it at least 3 times before I yield the floor. So to our students in particular, please use that as a resource. Be Engaged, for those of you who don't know, is a platform we launched last year, and it was really starting to gain traction in terms of usage before going remote. The site still has good information on clubs and orgs and student life initiatives. I will warn that over the summer it is a little bit less active, but as we approach fall, you'll start to see a lot of postings on there. It's a great place to stay on top of all activities and other involvement opportunities. I also definitely want to take a moment to thank everyone who helped me put together my response to these questions, particularly Danielle Welch from events and Carlos and Yeska from student life. In-person meetings and events are limited to the current restrictions set by both all of NSHE, local, state, and federal orders. So where feasible, meetings and events should be held using available virtual collaboration tools. Nevada State's been great about offering things such as Blue Jeans, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and other platforms that can allow us to engage virtually. So really, as far as I can go in terms of being definitive today, is to say that we'll follow whatever safety guidelines and restrictions are in place at whatever given time we're assessing the situation. It is going to be an ever-evolving process, and we'll continuously learn and adapt together as a campus community. I do, as the director of student life, I do very much recognize that in-person social interaction is an important component to building relationships and to having a vibrant student experience. As far back as last December, the Office of Student Life had a retreat and planned out all of our fall programming schedule. The reality is that we're not going to be able to fully execute the original plan, but we are going to get creative and work collaboratively across campus to make this fall the best experience possible for students. And we're asking that our student leaders and organizations commit to doing the same. For the fall in particular, the first question we're going to have to ask ourselves is, does this event absolutely have to happen in person? If it doesn't, then we should really pursue a virtual format. A couple of recent or upcoming events come to mind that had to or have to be in person. The Christensen Education Building beam signing, that would have been impossible to do virtually. So events worked to create an RSVP system, develop logistics. It allowed for it to happen in the safest way possible. For our incoming students, new student orientation isn't going to be on campus this year. There was supposed to be a huge welcome event the Thursday before the semester. And while this won't happen in its original format, the orientation coordinator is working to create space so that smaller groups can come to campus at different times, because we really want to reduce any anxiety that might come from, hey, you've never been to campus before, but now it's time for your first day of classes. And then RSVPs are going to become a bigger part of our culture. Anything that does happen on campus in the fall, there's the reality that we might have to turn walk-ups away. I would absolutely hate doing that, but we have to prioritize the safety and well-being of our campus community as a whole. So that's the potential perception of that, is that that's the bleak side of things. But the positive side of things, as President Patterson mentioned, we're much more prepared for this fall semester than we were for this past spring. This past spring, we did what we could, and honestly probably didn't do enough, but there was no way we could have predicted the abrupt switch to remote learning and the physical campus closing. We are, and by we, I mean Office of Student Life, NSSA, other departments that I've talked to, I've not met anybody that's not working really hard right now this summer to make sure that the fall is vibrant and that every student has something they can feel connected to with the Nevada State College campus. Now more than ever, I'm connected to colleagues across the country in my field in an effort to information share. I've been able to attend virtual conferences that I would have never been able to afford to travel to, which has helped me really learn and be prepared for the fall semester. Yeska from Student Life is serving on a regional planning committee to host, it's the Battle of the Southern Nevada Summer Olympic competition. It's between College of Southern Nevada, UNLV, and us here at Nevada State. The scavenger hunt was last night, and we had a good group of students from Nevada State. Was it the same experience we could have had if we gave out free food and then were able to be in the presence of each other's company? No, it probably wasn't, but I do feel confident speaking for the students that were there, that they had an incredibly enjoyable time engaging with the activity and each other. And I encourage you to, to take advantage of the virtual events that we're putting forward. Also, I want to plug that Nevada State is in the lead after 2 out of 3 events this summer. So help us get the gold by attending our 3rd event and representing NSC. Details of that July event will be posted on beengaged.nsc.edu once they're available. To kind of wrap up, our student government is a testament to the fact that we can create an amazing experience out of virtual programming. They've been in their office seats this term for less than 2 months and have yet to be able to get in the same room as each other since taking office. Yet we've managed to host 3 retreats and other trainings. They've already approved a budget with each committee working to itemize their allocations and get ready for the upcoming year. At last night's involvement committee meeting, the board chose to allocate money to a quote unquote student's choice line that will solicit feedback from the student body to determine how to best spend your student fees. I know that some clubs are already active over this summer, having long meetings to plan for the fall, and the Office of Student Life is fully prepared to support every registered organization as much as necessary to help them provide a similar student involvement experience for both themselves as student leaders and students at large. I really think we've learned a lot about virtual programming, and with the technology available to us, we can host club meetings in a format that doesn't force a student to choose. Do I attend this club meeting at the expense of having to take a long drive or bus ride to get to campus to do so? So in closing, if you go to beengaged.nsc.edu/forms, you can fill out a super brief survey on virtual engagement for the fall semester. Your feedback is extremely important to us. We do look at every piece of feedback and try to create the best possible programming schedule. I anticipate it wouldn't take you more than 5 to 10 minutes. So I touched on both club-related questions in my remarks. To get specific to the questions, we will do everything we can to provide the best co-curricular experience. To the student who posed the question, it said that it came from an incoming student. I commend you for being an incoming student, already being connected to the campus community and asking such a great question. For you and others, NSSA will have 4 Senate seats for freshmen up for election in September, and I encourage you to run and help shape the student experience. As far as flyers go, I haven't heard anything that would restrict posting flyers outside of the typical policy, but I will say that with the majority of classes seeming to be hybrid, remote, or online learning, I don't know that flyering is going to be the best way to capture as many eyes as possible. So I would advise publicizing through the events calendar on the Nevada State website. And then also, as long as it's student facing, we can work to publicize it through Be Engaged and other digital mediums. So I know that I went a little bit long. I tried to include as much information in as short a time as possible, but if you are seeking more info, definitely use the events office as a resource, and/or reach out to me and my team via email. We're at studentlife@nsc.edu. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Gregory.
All right, so the first question is, what does synchronous, asynchronous learning mean? This is a really important question, so I want to make sure that we're really very clear about it, because you'll see it a lot in the upcoming fall schedule. So in online classes, they can be either synchronous or asynchronous. And when you go to the class schedule, you're going to see 2 different kinds of web courses. Some web courses will simply say web course, but not have any times or dates listed on them. That means that you'll be taking those courses on Canvas, you'll be submitting assignments when they're due, but you will not be necessarily required to be online in conference software at a specific time and date. However, if a class is synchronous, you'll see in the calendar that there are times and dates listed, and these are different for different courses. Those times and dates are times when you'll be expected to log into the course virtually and participate. And it's a little like this meeting would be. You'll see your instructor, and you'll see some of your classmates, and have more opportunities to interact, but you'll also have the obligation of being present during those times. So that's the kind of thing where you really just want to pay attention to the schedule as you're selecting your classes. Again, the synchronous courses will actually list the times and dates on there, but they'll say web course on the very right. If a course is hybrid or in person, but I have a family member with a compromised immune system, will I have an option to take it online given the circumstances? How and when do I request this accommodation? Okay, we've had a lot of questions about this, so this is also a really important question. Our first advice is we ask students if you are at all concerned about your health or the health of your family members. We have many, many courses online, of course, this fall, and you should have a lot of good options that will still give you a good college experience in that regard. If you are taking a a hybrid course, and you're very concerned about your health or the health of a family member, we do have a form that you can fill out, and we will send that out in a correspondence that'll be coming out pretty soon. So you'll fill out a form, explain the circumstances, and we'll do our best to accommodate that request. We can't promise it. Sometimes it's very difficult for an instructor with particular kind of courses that require in-person activities. It's hard for those instructors to also offer an online assignment or online activities that are equivalent. So, we will do our best, but again, our first advice is to lean towards the online courses. And then, if you're in a position where that's just not possible, we will have a form that you can fill out, and we will evaluate that form based on the information that you provide. Number 3 is for classes that require access to school supplies, such as labs, the visual media room, software, and more. What is NSC doing to ensure students can have access to these necessary materials? Yes, so, well, many of the courses that do require physical materials, physical items like labs or access to the visual media lab, those classes are offered in a hybrid format, but we're going to try to offer them in a very special way so that not all of the students in a class would be asked to come to be in person at any given time. So that will depend on the course, but we can imagine situations where, say, if a class has 20 students in it, maybe 10, maybe less would be asked to come to school on Tuesday, and then the other portion of the class would be asked to come on Thursday. So we will divide the classes up to make it so that we are not putting anyone in danger and following our CDC guidelines. We're also done a lot to try to mimic some of the experiences that are traditionally in person in an online format. For example, when we were kind of forced to go online so quickly this spring, we got a lot of the software that we use in the visual media labs for free from Adobe and some of our animation software. So we'll work to provide those to students also so that they have access to them at home. And then finally, the library, of course, has done a terrific job of lending out laptops, and we'll try to continue those kind of services as well so that students have access to technology. All right, so let's move on to number 4 here. There we go. Okay. What resources are available for students who may have technology problems, lack proficiency in technology, or otherwise don't have the technological resources available for them to complete assignments? So as I mentioned before, the library does have a lending program with laptops, and that was very, very effective. As Phil mentioned, we do have some computers that are available on campus. Web access is available on campus, and we will work to maintain that for students that have a laptop or mobile technology but don't necessarily have an internet connection at home. So we'll make sure that that's available for students. We also have a terrific academic success center, and I can't recommend that enough. They have a means of allowing students to meet virtually, and you can do that even via your mobile phone, and they can help walk you through some of the problems that a lot of students might face initially with technology. How do I log into my Canvas shell? How do I access assignments? What do I do if an assignment is due and technology has failed me? The Academic Success Center at ASC is really great for those kind of questions and is there to help. And then the last question is a doctor's note or other form of proof required if the student must stay at home, not participate in a class activity? How would that impact students with inadequate access to healthcare or medical insurance? Yeah, so what I would advise here is that when you sign up for a class, look really carefully at the instructor's syllabus. All of the syllabi have an attendance policy on them. They often have language that is directed at situations exactly like this. And we're going to have an increased focus in, of course, these very issues, which we anticipate. We certainly want you to stay home if you are not feeling well, and want to encourage you to let instructors know. So my advice on this is make sure that you communicate really clearly with your faculty member. Make sure you take a look at the syllabus and the policies that are contained within. And the proof sort of varies per instructor. So I think I would have to say again, the syllabus is kind of your class contract on that one. So that's the best place to start. And I think that's it for my questions.
Thank you, Gregory. Shanice.
Hi, Scorpions. I'm Shanice Noel, the Director of Housing for the Village NSC Student Housing. Our first question, when will housing be opening? I'm excited to say that housing will be opening this August. So if you guys have already applied, there will be some new information that will be coming out within the next 2 weeks. If you haven't applied, it is not too late to do so. So please visit us at our website, nschousing.com, to put in your application. Next question, what precautions will housing take to protect residents? Well, we'll be practicing social distancing in our office as well as any common areas. Masks will be required in our office as well as any common areas as well. And we also will have germic stations set up around the property to ensure that you guys are sanitized as well. Next question, how do I pay for housing at the Village? So there will be an overall housing fee that will be placed on your account at the beginning of the semester. You will pay that housing fee off in monthly installments. So for example, if you choose to stay in a 1-bedroom, you will pay off your housing fee with a monthly rate of $1,200 a month. Thank you guys. That's all the questions that we have for housing.
Thank you, Shanice. And we actually have some additional questions. One is for Bart.
Thank you. The question is, how does all of this change or affect the cost of attending college at Nevada State? Will there be any reduction of tuition or building cost fees if all classes are online? So as I mentioned before, the college is in the middle of a fiscal crisis as well. We're a little bit better positioned than a lot of the other institutions because we had a growth budget because we've been teaching so many more students. But to teach those additional students, we have needed to hire additional faculty and staff. And we're not hiring nearly the amount of faculty and staff that we wanted to hire and really need. So we're going to be a bit short-staffed, but we will have more faculty, we will have more full-time faculty, and we will have more staff on campus if the budget cuts that the state has imposed do not go deeper. So the situation we're at right now as college is solid, and we expect to offer a excellent student experience. But I guess I should explain a little bit about how the college is budgeted so you have an understanding of how we address issues associated with fees. So we have a special building fee that all students pay. And in fact, students, I think it was back in 2013, started paying that fee and agreed to pay that fee because they wanted to build buildings for the students that came after them. So even though they never got the opportunity to go into the buildings, they paid the fee to start that building construction. So we have to pay the installment payments or debt service, just like you would a mortgage, on that building every month. And so we have to assess the fee and continue to assess the fee in order to make those payments. If we were to try to reduce fees at this point in time, then that would result in us essentially having to lay off or reduce staffing, which isn't going to be a good student experience. So we're not really moving in the direction of reducing tuition and fees because of the impact that that will have on the student experience as a whole. But what we are trying to do and are involved in is working with the congressional delegation. I was just off the phone with Congressman Horsford a little bit earlier, and they're looking at a second kind of stimulus bill that might help colleges and universities to navigate through this financial crisis. Because not only are we having budget cuts, actually the cost of delivering education is more expensive because we've had to add different technology pieces and equipment that we didn't have before. So it's actually more expensive right now for us to provide classes in this format of both online and in person. But there is the potential for additional financial aid. So we are looking at how we can continue to grow our financial aid programs. The Congress adopted the CARES Act, which provided money to students. That, I believe, is the first time that's ever been done in history. During the last significant recession we had about 8 years ago, there was no direct relief provided to students. And they're also discussing some additional student relief that might be in the form of deferring loan payments and some other things like that. So we're anxious to see what the federal government is able to do. We're anxious to see what we can generate through our donors to provide additional financial aid. We just, for example, received a significant donation that came in to help students that weren't eligible to receive the CARES Act funding, so that they could also receive some similar funding to help them with the crisis that we're all facing. So we will, again, as we always do, we will work with students individually to try to help them to navigate the cost of college. And where we see that, for example, like in course fees, we're able to rebate a lot of the course fees because you didn't use those supplies. And so we were able to rebate those fees so you didn't pay for something that you didn't use. So we are looking for ways that we can do that as we go forward here. We know that education is expensive. Nevada State is a great bargain, honestly, compared to tuitions around the country. But at the same time, we know our student population comes from a lot of backgrounds where every dollar is a factor in whether they can go to college, whether they can go to full time. So we will continue to work with you to try to keep costs low. Another example of that is the open source textbook initiative that the library championed and was acknowledged nationally for. That's, I think, saved about $500,000 for students as a whole in the cost of textbooks. And we're continuing to try to grow those kinds of programs. So we do care about the issue. We know we can't do everything you'd like us to do to keep the cost low or reduced, but we're doing everything we can. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, President Patterson. And just to add on to something that President Patterson mentioned, he mentioned a donation that was received, that was given here to the college. That donation is ready and available in the care team. So if you need some financial assistance, please reach out to Laura Hinojosa on the care team. She can definitely send you the application so you can apply for those funds. The next question is actually for me. What kinds of academic, non-academic student supports are available this fall? So we have a nice number of support programs available for students. We were able to transition those services online, and so they will be available face-to-face. Some of those programs include the Academic Success Center, DRC, Advising, Writing Center, TRIO, Care Team. They are available. They will be available for face-to-face services, of course, wearing a mask. And if you cannot come to campus, those services will be available online as well. Okay, we do have some questions from our online listeners. And Bart, the first question is for you. Is it a requirement for staff and students to to work on campus should they get tested? If not, why not?
So let me thank you for the question. So let me talk about more broadly about what we're doing. And again, our safety protocols are not any different than across the Nevada system of higher education. We're jointly imposing safety protocols among all institutions across the state. And that's again with the guidance of the Nevada System of Higher Education Task Force, the chancellor, and consultation with the governor's office and health districts. So at this point, we are not requiring testing for individuals to come to campus in the sense of we are not, like you might see it, like I've heard at the casinos where they might do a temperature check or something like that. We are not currently requiring temperature checks to come to campus, nor requiring every individual to have been COVID-19 tested. As you know, there's some reasons that we are not requiring that. One of those is that temperature alone does not indicate transmission. And again, I'm not speaking as a health expert, I'm speaking from a standpoint of what health experts have said. Even though you may have tested negative for COVID at one point, it's quite possible, or it's possible that you could get or have the virus and it would appear, a few days later. So at this point, mass testing is not required, nor is it really feasible. But what we are requiring of every employee and staff member before they come to campus is that they do a self-assessment, and there's a series of questions that they're required to follow every day. And if they're not able to come to campus because they can't answer those questions in the positive, then they will have to work, or will be working from home until such time as that issue is resolved. I think another component to the question is, why do I even have to come to campus? And that's a question that we're going to continue to ask. Most of the state is now open. So certainly in the situation of private companies are opening up across the state, and employees are going back to work, and they're going back to work in similar protocols of social distancing and requirement of wearing masks. So what we're asking employees and staff to do is not any different than what's happening, across the state with all employers. But we are in a little bit different position that we're able to assess, whether employees really need to come to campus to do their work. So, and we're assessing that this summer. So for example, most employees are coming back to work in some form on July 1 or thereafter. But we're looking at keeping staff at 50% capacity on campus. So what we're doing is we're alternating work weeks for most units so that there will be some staffing on campus one week, and then they will be working from home the next week, and then another shift essentially will come on board for the following week, and they'll alternate like that during the summer until the start of the school year. And obviously, if we have any individuals who feel like they're immunocompromised or have family members that are in that situation, that they're vulnerable, then we're going to work on making special arrangements for them to be able to work from home in every case in which we can do that. So we're sensitive to the issues, we're sensitive to the concerns, and we believe that the work environment and class environment at Nevada State will be as safe as about any place, and safer than most businesses that you might be going to, like the grocery store, which is always a little frightening for all of us when we go there. But the workers are working there, and they're working there for us, and so we're trying to accommodate those interests while still being open to the public as a public entity. So the other thing I want to add to this question, I think it's the right time, is that although it's frustrating to not have predictability, the fact of the matter is we continue to get changing advice, medical advice in the United States about the proper precautions to take and the best strategies to take. And so we will continue to change our safety protocols, honestly, right up to the time that we open in the fall, because there will be additional guidance by that time. It's possible, although there's been a spike in cases recently in Nevada, it's possible that in July, the state may move to stage 3, which would be even a much more open environment, including potentially not a limit on group size. That's why we're still holding a graduation date of August 18 as a possibility. We know, for example, that the Garth Brooks concert is a sellout at 72,000 people. And Raider in the new stadium, Allegiant Stadium, where the Raiders are going to play, that's on August 22nd. That has not been canceled yet. So we will make a decision on larger group events as we get closer to the time. But for graduation, we really will need to make a decision in the next 2 weeks. Do I think it's likely we will hold a graduation then? I don't think it's likely. But is it possible? Yes. And so we're still holding the date for now. And we'll get out the information on how we're going to handle that in sort of early to mid-July. So at least 30 days before. Thank you.
Thank you, Bart. I do want everyone to know that we've received over 40 questions on the online tool. So we probably won't be able to answer all of those questions. And again, we will definitely answer those questions at Town Hall number 2. Suman, a question came in for you. How will Nevada State College be supporting its Black and Brown students to ensure equity of opportunities among students?
Thank you. That is a really good question. I will say, just with everything that's been going on, I've made that a priority in, looking for new solutions and programs to allow that to happen. That comes with like building stronger relationships with organizations in the community, and then also with campus leadership, and just talking to everyone and seeing how we can continue to build on the opportunities and resources that we currently have. And so even with the Diversity and Inclusion Task Force, we're working together to try to ensure that we bring more opportunities to campus. And then we do know that there is a big need for the Black male members at Nevada State College, and they do require more support. So we're looking at other ways that we can provide that, as well as we do have a club organization that's called a Black Student Organization. And so I think right now the club is looking for strong student leaders. So if anyone's interested, I would go on to, as we mentioned before, the Be Engaged website, and you can get more information on that. And if you're interested in joining, but I encourage you, if you have questions, if you have ideas, please come talk to me. And then Office of Student Life, my email is simon.rendawa@nsc.edu. I'd be happy to have these conversations and hear your thoughts as well. But yeah, that is something that we continue to build on and work on, is building strong relationships with members in the community that will enhance those type of opportunities for our Black and Brown students.
Thank you, Suman. Dara, do you have anything to add to that as a student as well?
I think Suman did an amazing job of answering that. Definitely, we've been trying to keep up with that Diversity and Inclusion Task Force, continuing to have those difficult conversations that are arising once in a while, making sure that we are providing for all of our students. But as Suman stated, we are here for you and to reach out to us. And my email is dara.collin@nsc.edu.
Thank you. Question came in for me. What if you cannot wear a mask all day long due to some issues such as medical? Do we have to be forced to wear masks? So again, masks are mandatory in the classroom and on campus. What can happen is that you can work with your academic advisor to create a program that strictly is online that may be something that you could do. Again, I'm not sure how long this individual can actually wear a mask, but again, with a hybrid model as well, you would come on campus for, a class maybe, and then the rest of your classes potentially could be online. So while, I understand wearing a mask all day can be challenging, we definitely want to adhere to CDC guidelines and of course the guidelines that the college has set so we can stay open and offer classes for students.
Stephanie, could I just add quickly to that? And keep in mind that this is within building protocol. If 6 foot distance can be maintained outside, then a mask would not be required in the outside spaces. But the 6 foot distancing does need to be maintained.
Thank you for that good addition. Thank you. Okay, we have a question for Phil. What are the safety protocols for the fitness center?
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Dr. Coleman. Apologies. So I think that one of Bart's last statements, he summed it up best, is that we're going to continue monitoring whatever the proper protocols and safety protocols are, like right up until the semester. To be honest, the fitness center is typically closed over the summer months just because of usage and the student worker budget to keep it open for lack of usage. So we are planning to open up in the fall when the semester starts. As the state has gone from phase to phase, they've released some really robust details for each kind of industry about what the proper safety protocols are, and fitness centers are definitely one of those. I can't remember which phase it was in, but I have a document that was passed along to me by campus leadership about what the state is expecting in terms of safety protocols for the fitness center. So we will be following those. We will be following institutional policy. I know that I've gotten some pushback about face masks in the fitness center, but the reality is that if we're requiring them in building, we're going to require them in the fitness center. For those of you who have been in there, you know that it's a small space. Carlos Navarro did a great job soliciting student feedback and getting as much as possible in there that students requested, but it is a small space. So 6 feet of distance is going to be a little bit difficult in that small space if we were to get even 5 people in there at a single time. So we're exploring different ideas. We'll have a much better feel for what it's going to look like as the fall approaches. But something that we might look at doing is turning it into a space where we only do circuit training, so that we know that people can start at different times and go in the same order along machines, and our fitness center student workers can clean up after them before the next person comes through. Another idea is to potentially have people reserve times for certain cardio machines. That way we know that we can keep them 6 feet apart. And those are elements that we don't necessarily want to go to. We want people to be able to pop in if they need to de-stress after class. But the short answer is whatever the proper protocols are in August when we're getting ready to open for the semester or start the semester will be what we follow. So can't definitively say what it will be, but we are taking every precaution and doing all that we can to make sure that it's open to students when the fall semester begins.
Thank you, Phil. Gregory, the next question is for you, and actually I'm going to combine the two questions. The first part, will labs for nursing and science majors be moved online? And how will this affect the incoming fall nursing students? Will there be changes to the program clinicals? If I'm accepted to the program, I would not feel comfortable beginning nursing school online. Thank you.
So to the best of my knowledge right now, we are not requiring, or we are not moving our labs for nursing students online. Those are some of the examples of classes that we are, making an exception to hold on campus. So we are looking into online lab development overall, because I think it is a good idea, but we are not doing it for some of the kind of classes that are required for the nursing program. We understand that there are potential concerns with how online labs work with nursing and how they can be perceived by graduate programs. So we're very well aware of the potential problems with online labs. So these are ones that we will do in person, and we will be very careful about how we do it. Again, these will be reduced class sizes. We will have special PPE, personal protective equipment available. We will follow all the guidelines so that that's a safe experience.
And if I could just add to that briefly, this is President Patterson. My understanding is the hospitals have or will be opening up the clinical experience to nursing students, again, with appropriate safety protocols. But our understanding is that clinicals will start again to be offered within the nursing program or have already started.
Thank you, Bart. And Bart, we're going to have one last question, and it is directed to you. If we are doing 50% capacity for each classroom, that means professors will have to do more classes. What is the plan for the professors? Will they be taken care of properly?
So I don't know exactly what that means in terms of will they be taken care of properly. So the fact that the classes are smaller means that only a percentage of the class will meet at any particular time. So in reality, the instructor will not have more class time. They'll just have class time with half of the students in the hybrid format. So that's the only format in which that would make a difference. In the online format, it won't make a difference. So so I'm clear on that. And Gregory, correct me if I'm not stating this correctly. You might be able to be more precise on this. So for example, if a class meets twice a week, half the class may come in once a week and the other half the other session. That's kind of the concept behind hybrid, limiting the classes to 50%. So the instructors will not be teaching twice as many students. That's not the way the program's designed. Gregory, can you add to that?
I can. You're absolutely right. We will be we'll be making sure that the class sizes are reduced, but it doesn't mean that the instructors are necessarily teaching twice or anything like that. Plus, I think I want to make a case too that we've done a lot of work to really listen to faculty as we've gone through this process. We've had several dialogues where we've taken faculty concerns and tried to respond to those as best we could. And that's meant things like reductions in class sizes. We opened up a new training for online from AQ, which is a really big deal. And it's been a really successful training program in some of the other institutions that helps faculty get trained on some of the latest and best evidence-based practices in online teaching. And then to add to that, our Center for Teaching and Learning has been incredibly active in helping our instructors move their classes online and give them really good practical things that they can do to help students in an online environment. So, you know, it is definitely a challenge for the instructors as we plan for this. But we're definitely trying to hear their concerns and make sure that we're accommodating where it's possible.
Thank you both for that response. That does conclude the question portion of our town hall today. I would like to ask Suman and President Patterson for a few closing remarks. Suman, we'll start with you.
Thank you. Just want to say thank you for everyone that joined us today, everyone that helped put this together. I hope it was helpful, and this will be one of, we'll be having another town hall the end of next month. So hopefully a lot of the questions that weren't answered will get answered then. But as usual, please feel free to reach out to me or any of the NSSA members. And then, of course, Dr. Stephanie Coleman, and then Phil also. And so if you'd like, the email address for NSSA is nssa@nsc.edu. And so I encourage you to keep, submitting these questions because your input is vital, and continue to, raise whatever concerns that you have and submit it to us. And what I want to say also is that as we plan to return to campus and the procedures and expectations that we'll have, like we're keeping that all in mind, and things might look differently as we get closer to fall. So you will get an up-to-date on what that looks like. We're working on something right now to kind of come up with like policies and procedures and protocols for students that are coming back. And then, so I know there's going to be a lot of changes when we come back on campus, but one thing that I can assure you that isn't going to change is that sense of community and the sense of family that you get at Nevada State College. So we're gonna continue to try to find new ways to engage with everyone and try to keep everybody together. We are definitely in this together. And so I hope that you guys are staying safe, and that's all I have. Take care, everyone. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll pass it back, actually, sorry, to President Patterson.
Thank you, President. Very, very well said. I appreciate those remarks. So, Nevada State is such a great place to be. I've always felt that way. I'm in my 9th year. And it's really the students that make me so passionate about what we're doing. And, it's so unusual because there's very few places where students have the opportunity to build the institution. Even now, we're 17 years into the college's formation, we're still doing a lot of things and building things for the first time. And you're really part of building a college, really part of building a university. We're becoming larger, but we're still, and offering more programs, but we still have that, as Simon mentioned, we still have that community feel that we always want to have. So, I talk about, 3 crises, a health crisis, a fiscal crisis, and a social justice crisis, but we don't look at it as a crisis, not like that. Not as in, how are we going to deal with this? Now, we look at it as an opportunity. We have an opportunity in each of these 3 areas to come out of this stronger than we were before. And you get to be a part of that. So thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for your ideas. As was mentioned in the chancellor's interview and selections in the last 2 days, a lot of times students have the best ideas. So if you've got ideas about how we can improve, things that we can do, things you want to be a part of, speak up. And we always listen, and we're trying to make it a better place. So have a safe summer. We're looking forward to seeing you on campus, maybe as early as July 1, if not then, in August. And believe me, I will welcome you back. I've been going to work the last couple of weeks, and it's pretty lonely. We need our students. Thank you.
And what a perfect way to end our session today. Thank you again for participating with us. And again, the next town hall will be on July 30th at 2 p.m. I'm sure there will be a link available again for you to submit questions. But for those questions that came in online that we did not get to, we will definitely address those questions at the second town hall. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful weekend.